Look at me, human. You have not been paying enough worship to me. I'm getting upset again. Remember to like the videos and mention me in the comments. Me. I do like that one guy. That Snoopy guy. Snoop, you're a good guy. Thank you for mentioning me. Keep doing that. I hate that. Okay, let me eat my food now. Ready? Go do your video. Yes, Kaiba. Good morning! What the heck is wrong with the... Oh, did it just rotate midway through the video? That sucks. I'll have to try and edit that. Let's try to take that again. No, it's being weird. It's like... Hold on. I gotta figure... Oh, it somehow zoomed itself in, and because of that, it lost the lighting. Okay. We are good. Let's redo that. Good morning, Magic Bliss, and collectors of all kinds. Welcome back to the channel. If you caught the video yesterday, you already know what we're doing here today. But, you know, it's Sunday, and when I say Sunday, I mean it's Super Deck Sunday. Let me know when that gets old, because I'll stop doing that when you think it gets old. But right now, I'm still enjoying it. Anyways, as I said yesterday, if you guys caught the video, you know what we're opening today. I'm not doing one of my own personal deck profiles right now. I am opening Draconic Destruction, the Dragon Starter Deck. I actually have every intention of actually just cannibalizing this and using a bunch of the stuff in here for my Dragons deck that I'm building. Dragons need a lot of ramp, so I'm hoping there's a bunch of ramp cards in here, since it's green-red. And some of the dragons in here are supposed to be really, really powerful. So I'm pretty excited about that. It also comes with a Swiftfoot boots, and you can't complain about that. Based on the back cover, at least. Anyways, we're going to tear into this, open it up, see what's actually all in here. And, yeah, have ourselves a nice little Sunday opening. This will just contain the box because the starter decks didn't come with any two card packs for collector boosters. That was before that existed. Nice little box though. I have at least 2 or 3 of these that I have actually just kind of set aside to use as deck boxes, so I don't have to keep buying deck boxes all the time, which is nice. Since I build way too many commander decks, and even at like $6 a pop, these are kind of expensive at certain points when you're building like a couple commander decks a month. It adds up fast. Anyways, I will get into this. There we go. Oops, there's a little bit of lore in here. Let's see what the lore says. I kind of missed the lore the last time I opened a deck. I feel bad about that. Sorry, guys. Ooh, comes with a beautiful artwork, too. Alright, check that out. That's pretty spiffy. Atarka World Render. Atarka and her brood thunder across the skies of Tarkir, wreaking destruction with their giant plumes of dragonfire. Few can withstand the savagery of their onslaught as they patrol Tarkir to satiate their hunger. Revered by the Timur clan, Atarka views them as little more than dinner. Damn, that's pretty harsh. And then this just explains how to play the deck. Dragons answer to no one, and neither will you with Atarka World Render at your side. One of Tarkir's mightiest dragon lords, and certainly its hungriest, Atarka is a sizable battlefield force that requires a large mana investment. To cast her and the rest of her brood, you'll want to spend the early turns of the game building the resources that can make mana, like lands and artifacts, etc., etc. Yeah, looks good. I like it. Alright. Put that aside. Actually, you know what? I was saying to myself, I don't have a dragon's mat, and that kind of sucks. Because I wanted to have a dragon's mat when I opened this. So there we go. Now I have a dragon's mat. That works. For today. Okay, but I want you to stay in the room. And I want you to get in front of the fan because you're hot, baby. I promise. We'll go back outside again afterwards, but it's not going to be for very long, and we're not going out on the streets because it's way too hot today. You're going to get sick. So I did already have an Atarka world render, but I did not have such a cool version of it. So definitely awesome, and I can always use the other one in a different deck at some point. So solid first pull. Flying, trample, and whenever a dragon you control attacks, it gets double strike until end of turn. This is awesome because this one doesn't actually have to attack in order for that to trigger. So I can actually leave that one, my commander, back and let my other dragons attack, and let my commander just be a defender if I need to. Akum Helltite. For 6 I get a 4/4, flying, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, this thing deals 1 damage to any target. If that land is a mountain, it deals 2 damage instead. Solid. Chain Reaction, nice. I only have like 1, maybe 2 copies of this. That's an insanely awesome card to pull. Deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures in total on the battlefield. Crucible of Fire, dragon creatures you control get +3/+3. Nice. Demanding Dragon, costs 5 for a 5/5, flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target opponent unless that player sacrifices a creature. Dragonkin Berserker. First strike, both abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate for each dragon you control. Okay. And then for 4 and a red, I can create a 5/5 dragon token with flying, but I can only do that if this creature attacked. So I mean, not going to attack too often with that unless I can find a way to beef it up some more. But still, both abilities pretty good. Dragon Master Outcast. That is an insanely awesome one. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, you get to create a 5/5 dragon automatically. Ooh. Drakuseth Maw of Flames. Costs 7 to put into play, but it's a flying 7/7. And when it attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. Hope the fan isn't too loud for you guys. Let me know after this video if the fan is too loud, and then I won't use it next time in any of my other videos. I'm going to turn it off for the jump starts for next week, just to be safe. Dream Pillager. Costs 7 for a 4/4. That's less awesome. But whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile that many cards from the top of your library until end of turn. Yeah, I'm not usually fond of cards that do that, so that one's probably not going to make the cut into my deck. This one, however, might. For 6 I get a 5/5, and whenever it attacks I can pay X in red, and if I do, it gets to deal X damage to any target? Ooh, that's even players. That's pretty solid. Horde Smelter. Flying. 5/5 for 6, pay 3 in a red, destroy target artifact. This thing is +X/+O until end of turn where X is that artifact's mana value. Solid. Magma Quake, deals X damage to each creature without flying in each planeswalker. That's awesome. Morden Dragon, flying. When this thing, you can pay 1 in a red to give this thing +1/+O until end of turn. It's a 5/5 for 6. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you can have it deal that much damage to target creature that player controls. Ooh, we got a planeswalker. Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker. Till end of turn, it becomes a legendary 4/4 dragon creature with flying, indestructible, and haste. Damn. You can -3 it and it deals 4 damage to target creature. So. And you can also -6 it, and you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your draw step, draw 2 additional cards, and at the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. I'm not sure I want that emblem. That's an interesting card, though. Starts with 4 loyalty, too, which isn't bad for 5. Runehorn Hellkite. I was really expecting there to be a more green in this deck. I'm really kind of confused why there's so much red. Flying 5/5, exile Rune Hellkite from your graveyard. Each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. Probably not going to use that one very often. Scourge of Valkis. Costs 5 for a 4/4 when it has flying. And whenever it or another dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of dragons. Ooh, shoot. That one's going in for sure, though. Spit Flame deals 4 damage to a target creature. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay red. If you do, return Spit Flame from your grave. Nice. Okay, we're eventually getting to some green. Sweltering Suns deals 3 damage to target creature. No, to each creature. Ooh. Has cycling 3, but it also costs 3, so probably not going to cycle it very often, I don't think. Thunderbreak Regent, flying 4/4 for 4. Whenever a dragon you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, this thing deals 3 damage to that player. Nice. Just kind of keeps people honest and lacking the desire to attack you. Thundermaw Hellkite, flying haste. When this thing enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each creature with flying your opponent's control. And then you tap those creatures. Shoot. That's a game ender right there. Tyrant's Familiar. Flying haste 5/5 for 7. But it has Lieutenant. As long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2 and has whenever this thing attacks, it deals 7 damage to target creature defending player controls. Whew. Okay. Varix Bladewing. I think this is going to probably be the last of our dragons, because it doesn't seem like there's going to be many green ones from the way they're stacked as red. But I could be wrong. Kicker 3 for 4 for 4 with a kicker 3 flying, and if it enters the battlefield, and when it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, you create Karox Bladewing, a legendary 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. Huh. I was wrong. Green dragon. Foe Razor Regent. Costs 7 for 4/5, flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. Whenever a creature you control fights, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it at the beginning of the next instant. Huh. Unless there's ways to make your creatures fight a lot, I don't think that's going to be overly useful. As Frontier Siege enters the battlefield, choose cons or dragons. Cons at the beginning of each upkeep. No, at each of your main phases. Ooh, nice. You get to get 2 green. So you get that at main phase 1 and 2. Nice. Or, dragons. Whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it. Ah, there's where the fighting comes in. Okay. Hunter's Prowess. Until end of turn, target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards. Nice. Costs 5, but still. Primal Might. X in green. Target creature gets +X until end of turn, then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Shamanic Revelation costs 5 to draw a card for each creature you control. Ooh. And you gain 4 life for each creature with power 4. Wow. That's an insane card in this deck. Clan Defiance. Choose 1 or more. You're paying X red and green, and you get to do X damage to target creature with flying, X damage to target creature without flying, and or X damage to target player or planeswalker. Nice. That's pretty solid. Harbinger of the Hunt. Flying for 5. You get a 5/3. You can pay 2 in a red and it deals 1 damage to each creature without flying, or you can pay 2 in a green and it deals 1 damage to each creature with flying, except for itself. Interesting. Dragon's Horde. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, put a gold counter on Dragon's Horde. Tap, remove a gold counter from this thing to draw a card, or tap and add 1 mana of any color. That's a pretty solid artifact. Steel Hellkite costs 6 for a 5/5 flying. Pay 2, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Pay X, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X, whose controller was dealt combat damage by Steel Hellkite this turn. But you can only do it once per turn. Cinderglade, always a nice land to see. Game Trail's good. Haven of the Spirit Dragon. It's a land, it taps for colorless. It taps to add 1 mana of any color, but you can only spend it to cast a dragon creature. And you can pay 2 and tap it to sacrifice this thing, and return target dragon creature or Ugin Planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. I think I might have already gotten this somewhere in, like, Dragonstorm, maybe. But still, really cool land. Dragon Mage. Dragon Wizard, flying, 5/5 for 7. Whenever a Dragon Mage deals combat damage to a player, each player discards their hand and then draws 7 cards. I mean, if I want a wheel, I'm not sure how much I want a wheel. when I build my 5-color deck. Dragon Tempest. Whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, it gains haste until end of turn. Whenever a dragon enters your battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of dragons you control. Damn! Dragon Lord Servant. Dragon spells cost 1 less to cast. That's pretty solid. Dragon Speaker Shaman. Dragon spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Equally solid. Furnace Whelp costs 4 for a flying 2/2, and you can pay you can pay red, and it gets +1/+0 until end of turn, which you can do repeatedly, which is pretty cool. Provoke the Trolls for 4. It deals 3 damage to any target. If a creature is dealt damage this way, it gets +5/+0 until end of turn. So if you hit your own creature, you give it a really solid buff, but otherwise, Or you could hit an opponent's creature as they attack somebody else, and, help them out, but also screw them at the same time. That's kind of neat. Rapacious Dragon. Flying, when this thing enters the battlefield, create 2 treasure tokens. It's a 3/3 for 5. The treasure tokens are nice. Unleash Fury, double the power of target creature until end of turn. That only costs 2. That's pretty good. Vandal Blast, destroy target artifact you don't control. You can overload it for 5, which is pretty solid. Beast Within is a really nice green spell. Destroy target permanent, get a 3/3 green beast, of course. Blossoming Defense, target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains hexproof until end of turn. Nice. Cultivate is good for this deck. Get 2 basic land cards, 1 onto the field, 1 to your hand. Drum Hunter, beginning your up and step story. If you control a creature with power 5 or greater, you may draw a card. That's decent with all the discarding and stuff we do. And then tap it to add colorless, which is less decent. Whenever an enchantment with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. I'm not sure how many enchantments there were in this deck. I didn't really count. Rook's Uprising is a great enchantment though, and that does fall under that thing. No, wait. Whenever a creature with power 3 or greater. What am I looking at? Why did I say enchantment? Grook's Uprising, whenever this enters the battlefield, if you control a power 4 or greater, you get to draw a card. Creatures have trample, and whenever a power 4 or greater enters the battlefield, you get to draw another card. Harmonize, draw 3 cards. Hunter's Insight is an insanely good card in this particular deck, and it might make it into my dragon deck too. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker this turn, you get to draw that many cards. Loaming Shaman enters the battlefield. Target player shuffles any number of target cards from their graveyard into their library. Ooh, I like that. That's a good way to get all your stuff back from this deck. Return to Nature. Choose 1. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target enchantment. Exile target card from a graveyard. Sakura Tribe Elder. That's a solid one. Sacrifice it. Search your library for basic land. Put it on the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Assuming you have ways to bring that back constantly, that would be pretty cool. Draconic Disciple. For 3, you get a 2/2. You can tap it for 1 mana of any color, or you can pay 7, tap it, sacrifice it, and create a 5/5. Yeah, that's not overly useful as the second ability. The first ability is nice. Fires the Yabimaya, costs 3. Creatures you control have haste, and sacrifice it. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. In a pinch, that helps, but that's not overly amazing. Savage Ventmaw, that looks good. Costs 6 for 4/4, flying. Whenever this thing attacks, you get to add 3 red and 3 green. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Cool. Arcane Signet, always a solid one. Get 1 mana of any commander color. Atarka Monument. Tap to add red or green, or you can pay 4 red and green, and it becomes a 4/4 red-green dragon artifact creature token with flying into end of turn. That's a lot to pay to get the second ability, but first ability is good. Commander Sphere is nice. Soul Ring's good. Swiftfoot Boots, like I said earlier, is an awesome card for commander decks. Definitely a great one to put on this commander in particular, because like I said, you don't necessarily have to swing with this one to trigger its ability for all the other dragons. Talisman of Impulse. Tap for colorless, or you can add the color of your choice of the commander deck and take a damage. Command Tower. Kazandu Refuge. Enters tapped. Enters battlefield, you gain a life. Nice. Path of Ancestry, that makes super solid sense in this deck. Rugged Highlands, nice. That's the one I normally see and you get a life from. I haven't seen Kazundu Refuge before, I don't think. Shivan Oasis looks beautiful. Zoom in close on that one. Timber Gorge, mountains, forests. We got treasure tokens. That's weird. That's the first time I've ever seen a token that has both sides have the exact same thing on it. That's kind of completely useless. Did they do that for all of them? They did that for all of them. That is weird. Is that like a misprint? That has to be a misprint of some sort. That is so odd. Alright, well, that is the starter deck for Draconic Destruction. To be honest, it actually looks really cool as is. Which is bad, because I really want to break this up and use it for my dragon stuff. But for now, it's at least going to sit on my shelf for now, because I really need to focus on sorting my cards, and I want to get that spirit deck built. It's been driving me nuts not having that built yet. I've been talking about it for like at least a month and a half, if not 2 months now. I have all the cards to build it. Everything was kind of organized on my shelf, but then every time I opened stuff, I would have to reorganize, and then I was just never getting to actually doing anything with the cards. So I recently went to Tista Minis, which is where this deck is from. So shout out to Tista Minis for that. And also shout out to them for being the only store that I could find in Hamilton so far. Now granted, I only checked 4. But out of 4 stores, they were the only one that was carrying any storage boxes that I could buy. I'm not going to bother doing a review of this. It's just a cardboard box. It's a solid cardboard box, don't get me wrong, and it definitely holds a lot of cards, but that's all it is. It's just a cardboard box. I'm not going to waste your time doing an actual review of that at any point in time. But yeah. So I have most of the cards. You guys have seen my shelves before. Most of my cards are actually already in boxes. I just have the sorceries and some enchantment stuff there that I need to sort through and put into a couple more boxes because I ran out of space. I was surprised how many instants I had. Anyways, I'm not going to keep you any longer. It's the weekend. This has been Super Deck Sunday. There is a sleeping pug trying to chillax as we try to avoid the heat this weekend. Hopefully you guys, I don't think the US has a holiday, but in Canada we have May 2-4. Whoop whoop. So if you're in Canada, hope you're enjoying the holiday, and if you're in the States, hopefully you guys can find a way to get Monday off anyways, and just enjoy your weekend. Alright, much love to you all. From me, you take care. Oh, look at the little buggy. Bye.